Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Gardens Grow. It's April the 16th and it's a lovely Sunday. I've got the garden cleaned out now, which is so wonderful. I can't tell you, but you probably know. If you garden, you know how wonderful it is when you finally finish up the garden cleanup from last year's debris. And I did clean some of it out in the fall, but mostly I just clipped back my irises and peonies for the biggest part and saved the rest of it for spring cleanup. So my great-granddaughters and I added to my new plants for this season. Of course, I had this little coleus I told you, and recently had purchased the mandevilla that I'm going to put here. They're in yawn in the garden. And then this is the beautiful stained glass coleus. I ordered this. I have not been able to find it. I have even had it out of the garden for several years, but it's so beautiful. I was glad to get another one, and hopefully it'll get a good start, and we'll have starts that we can save for future years as well. But we also, my great-granddaughters and I went to Horse Creek Nursery and just looked and oohed and awed. And then, of course, we came home with a few things, too. This is another beautiful coleus, all ruffled and pretty. This is one of the Joseph Coat plants. This, of course, is the dichondra. Looks like just a little small plant, but it will hang down and just wave in the breeze and be it'll probably be at least 2 foot long, hanging down out of a pot before the end of the season. This is one of my favorite colors of the petunia. And my friend Susie has calla lilies that come back, so I'm going to try them too. I'm going to leave them in the garden and see if they will come back next year. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to put these. And I did go ahead and purchase a redhead coleus. I really never want to be without one of them in the garden. So the happy, fun stuff is going to begin now that I finally got the old dead stuff cleaned out, and we can just go again. And this little plant is the one I had. If you can tell, my nails are done, and my great-granddaughter did those for me. You can see she has a little white stripe across it, but she told me to be sure and send her a picture of it when I put my church clothes on. So we're using that for a introduction and exit post on today's post. This is Bacopa, another little plant we found at Horse Creek. I love this. It also comes in white, and it's a little hard to do for me. The first one I had did wonderfully, and I thought it wasn't hard at all. I don't know where people get that. But ever since then, I figured out that's where they get it, and I don't really know what I need to do differently. I think it's kind of like a calabachoa in that it needs constant moisture, but it also needs to drain never once its little stem to get soggy, and it doesn't really like the heat, not nearly as much as it likes the cooler weather. It's been windy. I don't know if you can see the leaves shaking in the wind, but it has been quite a bit windier than normal, and also cool, pretty cool, although none of that stopped me or my great-grandgirls from enjoying the garden immensely. Yesterday we just had a wonderful visit with them. We made memories that will carry on into, well, the lineage of our heritage later on in life. So lucky for me that I got to do that. So now I'm getting anxious to put all the pots together. Actually, the girls helped me yesterday some. We didn't do pots. I thought about it, but we didn't get around to it for one thing. But another thing, it was really pretty cold for putting new little ones in the ground, new little annuals. So, but we did, and they need some water still this morning or this afternoon. But we did transplant some daisies. This is the little basket that we took them out of. These are actually just planted in the ground, and they were growing all around it outside of the basket. So we took the ones out that were growing on the outside and left the ones in the middle to grow again. And I think they will bloom and be beautiful. And I put some of the new, or these are the old mums that we had just growing. They were growing outside of a little mound and trying to turn into ground cover mums. So I took some of those and put them into the pots here. I will want some more on this side of this pot. And these need some watering too. I thought I might get a nap instead of watering today, but it looks like I better do a little bit of watering at least before I do that. The girls wore me out, but I love being with them, and I love getting to watch them at this stage in their life and getting to connect with them, and it was just a wonderful time. I wish I had more stamina where I could do it more, but I'm not going to try to just continue on to do it all the time, but I will do it when I can and when they can, and just enjoy the time that we do get together. Beautiful little lilac bush is already beginning to wane some, or wane, however you say that, but it's beginning to fizzle out some. And one thing, we needed rain, and I did water this, but it does need some rain. We have not yet had our rains, but I keep thinking that we are in line and that God will give us our rains too. I certainly hope that happens. Friend Oma noticed my little Japanese Japanese maple tree, and oh, I love it too. I'm so glad it's coming back. I know they're slow growers, but I'm just so happy that it lived. This is its third year, I believe, and that may not be correct. It may be its fourth year. I still want to take some of these white Gara and divide them and put them, if it's big enough to divide. If not, I'll just put the whole little clump there by the east fence in the front. They just really, the white looks so pretty up against the gray of the fence. This little tree is a dogwood tree. I had 3, only one of them has lived. It hasn't done well, and it may be a slow growing tree too, but it's alive, and that makes me happy. One day it could be a great big tree. So pretty when they bloom. They have big, big, beautiful blooms. Oh, I'm just now noticing too that the columbines are beginning to put blooms on. Sophia said, she's the 11-year-old, but she said, I want to have a garden just like this someday. And then my daughter called, or actually we called her, and then she called us back. And I said, we had a good time, and Aubrey said, a really good time. So I was all smiles and enjoying it all, but I get so hyper and then I have to come back down from all the hyper. I just can't handle to stay hyper all that long, very long. I was trying to get these little honeysuckle in. I don't know if I'm getting them in where you can see them. I hope so. But the garden is absolutely beginning to not only green up but fill out in beautiful blooming color. And so this is the fun time in the garden. And the weather is a little bit cool, but I love it, really love it, because I've gotten to where I cannot handle the heat. And so it will come on here in Oklahoma. It can come on really early and stay really late. Also, Sophia filled up my little fountain for me this time. This is the first time I've gotten it filled up since last fall, and we put the little girl back on her perch, or her specific seating area. And I see Sophia or Aubrey one set this little frog up here. It's looking great. That's not where I had it. I don't know where I had it, but this may be where it's supposed to be. The girls also took home some starts of the Russian sage. I'll also want to start planting some seeds, and that was another thing. Sophie said she would like to have some seeds, so when I go through mine, I'm planning on getting her some, and I hope I do get around to doing that and getting those either sent to her or taken to her so she can plant seeds this spring too. And this is where I chopped down so many weeds and grass, mostly all grass, right in this little area in front of my little swing. And I would like to get the creeping Jenny moneywort to go all the way over there, so maybe it would choke out most, if not all, of the grasses. That would be great, but we'll see how it will go. I do have it started good here, so it just needs to go on out a little bit more. And in this area there was bukus of grass here. Actually, I planted this little how is it? I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but I planted this little grass here new just a few days ago. And then all the places where there's nothing, actually that's where I put my dahlias, which is another thing I need to do soon, as soon as I possibly can get around to that, because I don't want it to just be empty, and I want them to get in here soon enough that they'll bloom before it's time to dig them up, which I have a hard time getting everything else done in time to get that done so that I can enjoy them before they're gone again. And the dahlias are wonderful and beautiful, and I dig them up. Some people leave them, and sometimes they will come back, but I just never want to take a chance. I just want to go ahead and dig them up and try again the next season, which is what I've been doing. So I see that one of my little clematis is trying to bloom, and this is its second year and its first year to bloom. It is called Clematis Bourbon. None of the peonies have opened up yet, but these will open up soon. I don't know how soon. I don't know if it will be this week, but really I would not be surprised. Actually, of course, it's always a surprise when they open, but it's always a pleasant and wonderful surprise when they do. Caryopteris bush is doing great. I love it here. It is a smaller one than the one I had before that the winds took out. It uprooted it one year and I never got it to grow back. So, but this one is so far doing great. And my husband and I did trim back our forsythia bushes, and they actually look better already, even though we trimmed a lot off of them, a really lot off of them. And they still look a bit scraggly, but with all the dead parts gone, they don't look nearly as scraggly as they did. And hopefully that will help them to be more healthy and maybe to come back fuller next year. This little plant, I'm not exactly sure what it's called. Maybe some type of a, well, I was going to say barberry, but I don't really think that sounds right either. But you can tell I trimmed off all the old dead ones, and there is quite a bit of life there, really. But I think it's slowly dying. If I don't get it up from this spot, because right now it's getting some sun and it's doing okay, but when our pampas grasses over here get big enough, it will block it from getting sun. I think that's what's caused it to dwindle down to just this tiny little scrap of a bush. It does have thorns on it, or it's stickery. It's very pretty, and I do love it. I love this color in the garden, even though it's green, but it's such a lighter, more yellow green, and I love it in the garden. It just shines. Snowball bush is all greened up, and soon it'll turn in, the bloom will be like white snowballs. And my little crepe myrtle, my husband asked me just the other day, is that tree dead? But you can tell it is not dead. Let me get up there closer so you can really see. But see, it's beginning to come out now. They're just a little later than most things in the garden. The crepe myrtles and the hibiscus, the perennial hibiscus, are always later. Today is April the 21st. In a few days, my mom will be celebrating her 91st birthday, and she's up and going every day. So she doesn't go very far, and she goes with her family. And my sister Rose takes wonderful care of her. And but she still does a lot, and she still has energies as well as I do. So we're very lucky to have had her this long, and hopefully we'll still have her a long time more. But I wanted to tell you today, it's so beautiful. I wish every single day, summer to fall, could be as beautiful as today is. We've had winds for so many weeks straight that I'd have lost track of how many weeks it was. And it's not that windy today, just a gentle breeze blowing. It's just wonderful. I'm sure even the little birds, I see one over here, I don't know if I can get him for you, but they're even enjoying it. They're out here chirping around and just having a good time. They know it's something special and different about today. Just, you know, sometimes the Lord speaks to me. Sometimes He gives me revelation. And and though I've never heard it audibly, I can hear it in my thought pattern, but it's not something I thought. It's something He revealed to me. And one little instant is the story I'm fixing to tell you. And that was one day after the winds had blown like crazy and had finally settled down. I came outside and I said, "Thank you, Lord, for stopping the winds from blowing." And He said, "I didn't really stop the winds from blowing, you know." And that's all. So I thought, I wonder why it was important for Him to tell me that. I wonder what, if any, catastrophic event that would trigger. And then I just went about my day and did my usual thing. And then that week I was reading my daily scriptures, and I'll have to look it up to get it exactly correct for you, but I know it's in Revelations, and I know it says something like, and the four winds of the earth ceased to blow. So surprisingly, I figured out, okay, that's the catastrophic event that would trigger. And I had read it many times, but he told me that because finally it clicked in. You know how when you're going through it personally and you hear a scripture and you hold on to it for a promise, or just any of the times when you hear a scripture and make a connection, and then it just becomes so much more real and so much more ingrained on your brain. Revelation 7:1. And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. It's so beautiful today, so beautiful. Did I already say I wish every single day would be like this until frost comes? But of course that's not going to happen. We're lucky to have it cool enough right now to enjoy it before the heat begins. And I have barely started my annuals. I only have a few, 2 or 3 like it planted. But yesterday we had to go to the city, so I did purchase several more, and I'll try to get those started in next week. Tomorrow we have another obligation we've been wanting to do for quite some time, and I think it's finally going to happen. So that will be great. And then I have got to get really busy with the job at hand. Filling up all these pots. I did put this little angel. I fixed her little basket a little better, and then I put her in this basket, and it is actually under the weeping willow tree. This is about the best shade I get through the summertime now, so everything that needs shade is practically out here or will be out here. But I can just imagine how it's going to look when we get everything, all the pots filled with beautiful color, beautiful flowers and greenery, and all of these pots are filled up. How much even more beautiful. But it's wonderful to have the perennials that come back are already filling up the garden all over the place. So that's great. But I do love to have the annuals too, and I love them because the perennials, while they're gorgeous, they don't have a very long bloom time. But the annuals, when you put them in, they're usually in bloom or going to be really soon, and then they just usually keep blooming at least off and on, and most of the time on through the whole summer season. Sometimes that heat gets a little too hot for them too, and they kind of give it up for a while, but they usually hold on to their root and begin again when the weather gets just a little cooler. One of my clematis vines, and I have got to get out here and tie it up a little bit and just tame it a bit so that it'll be prettier, nicer, and neater. And I am trying to get succulents or sedums in my little pots, but they have a long way to go to fill out. But I'm going to stop trying to do the pretty coleuses and little flowers, because in these little pots they just don't make it. Even though I will build this up with some more coconut liner and put some more dirt in there and give them a little better chance, and we'll see what we can get done with these this season. And I'll put some little rose moths or some little succulents or sedums in these little pots. Told you this little peony is usually my first to bloom, and it is blooming. It hasn't totally opened up yet, but it's on its way. It's such a beautiful little coral pink. I love this color. It's not really coral and it's not really pink. I think it might be known as salmon, but it's beautiful. Some of the clematis are opening up. Oh, here's a little one that I did get in the ground, or in the pot. This is an annual, the Dachandra, that it is so pretty. I know it doesn't look like much now. You think, why is she getting excited about that? Unless you know what it does, because this will trail down and just leave a little trailing, and not little, it might be small, but it will be long. It'll go all the way down to the ground by the end of the season and just look great. I always put a Dusty Miller, which is one of the plants I got yesterday, but I like a Dusty Miller with this because it just adds to that pretty blue color, and then anything else you put in there, it makes everything else look better, brings out the color. And then when you have this and the other blue beside it, the Dusty Miller, they just really look good together. See, there's another little clematis opening here. Here's this sweet little columbine. Let me turn it up so you can see it's a little bit more of its bloom. This is that ghost honeysuckle, and it's just so lovely this morning. Look at it. It loves it too that the winds settle down a bit. It's just glowing in the sunlight. And I started to water before I quit to show you what a beautiful day we're having and what's going on in the garden. And this is what I found. Look at this. So we have another early peony this year too. And my irises are beginning to bloom. My cousin said hers is already blooming and they're really looking great this year. I liked how one of my great-granddaughters had put this little frog over and leaned it up against this post right here, but it kept trying to fall over, and I was afraid that if it did, it might go ahead and break, because you can see it does have a crack right there, and I think if it fell on its little mouth, it would probably crack it all the way through. So I'm going to hold on to it as long as I can. If I get a chance, I might see if I can fill that with some foam filler. And out of the coconut liners to fix my pots with, but I got a little bit more yesterday. Not a lot. I didn't find a lot, but I'm going to see how much I can get done with it, and then hopefully find some more and get them all just kind of kneaded up and strengthened up. Put new plants in and enjoy them all the rest of the season. We have not had our spring rains from heaven yet. All around us there's been rain, but somehow the farther west it goes, the less rain or chances of rain, which end up being no rain for us. But we have another chance next week, I think. That's what my brother-in-law was telling me, and I'm just going to try to believe it. I wanted to tell you too that there were some tornadoes and some bad weather around, and also they got rain though, but still, you know, we'd always rather do without the rain than have a tornado destroy or hurt somebody. But my granddaughter's nephew, she got a clip of it too. It's so cute. He's like, I think he might be 6, I'm not sure, and he's like, oh no, this is not good, and it's all my fault. And she said, why was it your fault? And he said, well, I just prayed for storms and rain. So what did I say? I said, tell him to pray for us too. So So maybe that's what he's doing, and maybe next week we'll just get lots of wonderful soaking, not your erosion, but just wonderful soaking rain. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.